All right, so get ready because we're diving into something pretty wild. Ready for
Yeah,
this?
hit me.
Okay, well, it's a story about pet squirrels and Instagram and government raids. Yeah, you heard me right.
Okay, color me intrigued.
It all started with this TMZ article.
TMZ, huh? So you know it's going to be good.
Right. It's about this New York couple and their pet squirrel named Peanut.
Pet squirrel. Okay.
Yeah. But it gets deeper than that. Like, this story makes you think about, individual rights, government overreach, the whole deal, and social media fame. Oh, it's in there.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
Oh, it is. So let's start with the basics. The couple at the center of this whole thing is Mark and Daniela Longo.
Longo, got it.
And their squirrel, Peanut, well, he wasn't just any squirrel.
Let me guess, he was like a daredevil squirrel.
Yeah.
Did amazing tricks.
Close. He was an Instagram star.
No way. A squirrel influencer.
Exactly. And a pretty big one, too. We're talking 532,000 followers, over 1,400 posts. This squirrel was living the dream.
Wow, that's more followers than most people I know. Crazy. What do you think it is about animals on social media that draws people in like that?
I don't know. It's pretty fascinating, right? Like, is it that we're all craving some connection with nature? Or is it just pure entertainment?
Maybe a bit of both. It's cute, it's funny. We get to see these animals doing all sorts of wacky things, and it just brightens our day. But it also raises some questions, like what about responsible pet ownership, especially when we're talking about exotic animals?
Yeah, and that's where things get a little tricky. Because in New York State, owning a squirrel as a pet, illegal.
Ah, see, there it is. I figured there had to be some legal drama somewhere in this story. So there are laws against having pet squirrels. Why do you think that is?
Well, there are reasons, and they do make sense. Squirrels can carry diseases, for instance.
Yeah, that's a valid concern for sure. Public health and all that.
Exactly. And there's the ecological side of things, too. Like, introducing a squirrel into a place where they're not usually found could mess with the natural balance of things.
Right, disrupting the ecosystem. Makes sense.
But here's where it gets wild. Ready for this? Authorities raided the Longo's home. Like, full-on raid.
Whoa, hold on. A raid? For a squirrel?
Yep. They had a search warrant and everything, signed by a judge, and, get this, 4 different state agencies.
4? Seems a bit overkill, doesn't it? Like, were they running a squirrel mafia out of their basement or something?
Right. It's like they were dealing with some high-level criminals. But it gets even crazier. The article goes into detail about how the police wouldn't let Mark feed his horses during the raid. They even escorted him to the bathroom. And then they started questioning Daniela about her immigration status.
Whoa, wait a minute. Now that's just getting ridiculous. Seriously. Over a squirrel, something doesn't add up here.
Yeah, it make you think, doesn't it? Like, was this really about public safety, or was there something else at play here?
Exactly. It really raises questions about the use of state resources and the balance of power. Like, how much authority should the government have when it comes to regulating our personal lives?
So true. And here comes the truly heartbreaking part. They seized Peanut and the couple's pet raccoon. And get this, they euthanized them for rabies testing.
Oh, man. That's just awful. Poor Peanut and the raccoon and the owners, too. I can't even imagine.
Right, it's just tragic. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, how do we balance public health concerns with the emotional well-being of animals and their owners? I mean, did they really need to euthanize a beloved pet, especially one with so many followers?
Yeah, like you said, this squirrel was practically an online celebrity. You'd think there might have been other options, right? Like quarantine or something?
Exactly. And Mark, the owner, understandably, he was devastated. He talked about how close he was with Peanut, how they had this 7-year bond, and all the joy Peanut brought to people online.
I bet. It's just sad all around. And you know what adds another layer to all this? The whole thing was started by anonymous complaints. That's what triggered the investigation.
Anonymous complaints, huh? It's tricky. So someone had it out for them, or really thought this squirrel was a menace to society.
Who knows what their motivations were, but it just makes the whole situation even more complicated. Makes you think, doesn't it?
What happens when our love for animals clashes with the law? Do you think owning a pet squirrel is truly such a significant risk to public safety?
It's a tough one, for sure. I mean, on the one hand, you have the potential for disease and disrupting the ecosystem. But on the other hand, you have people who genuinely love and care for these animals. And then you throw in the whole social media aspect where even animals can become famous.
It's a whole new world, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, this case just shines a light on so many things. The tension between individual liberty and government regulation, the unintended consequences of online fame, and the ever-evolving relationship we have with animals.
For sure. And it really highlights the power of online communities. Like the fact that this squirrel had so many followers probably played a role in the whole situation.
Absolutely. It's crazy to think how something as simple as a pet can become such a complex issue.
It really is. So what do you think? Could things have been handled differently? Was this an overreach of authority? Is it okay to have squirrels as pets?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a gray area, no pun intended.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I see what you did there. But seriously, it makes you think about the rules we live by and how they play out in the digital age. Like, where do we draw the line between personal choices and government intervention? Especially when online fame is involved, even for our furry friends.
That's something for everyone to ponder, for sure.
It is. This deep dive definitely had some unexpected turns, and it left me with a lot more questions than answers. What are your thoughts on this whole squirrel saga?
Only one thing's for sure, it's nutch even.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well, that's our deep dive for today. Join us next time for another wild ride through the news.
See you then!